Lee. I am a graphic designer. I have, over 10 years of professional experience, and then I switched over into academia, and so now I'm an assistant professor teaching graphic design, which is pretty awesome. And I'm venturing into exhibiting my work now and doing less client-based work, and so it's been really exciting to be able to spend a lot of time developing large-scale installations and investigating things that I've been really interested in. In grad school, my research involved the Korean alphabet, and so I was just really interested in the mechanics of it, the logistics of it, the structure of it, but it's impossible to research the development of this alphabet that happened in the 1450s and without really looking into the history of the culture as well as the country. And so not only is it a linguistic research, but it's also historical and cultural. And so from that, I learned a lot about how King Sejong, who developed the alphabet, he really looked to the Neo-Confucian ideology, which was the prevalent and still pretty strong sort of cultural philosophy that governed the culture. And he isolated different aspects of it, and they really informed the structure and the graphic form of the alphabet, which is, to me, really amazing because it not only embodies aspects of the Korean culture, but it's just so deep, and there's just so much substance there. And so for me, a lot of the work that I do stems off of some of these ideologies. And so a lot of us are aware of the term of yin and yang. And so this idea of two things that are different and they oppose, but they also complete each other and they complement each other, to me is such a fascinating idea and concept. And so I've been very much interested in investigating that formally, conceptually. And so talking about this current project, this idea of how things can be opposing but also complete each other and define each other even, is really where I started. And so two concepts that I've always been very curious about in the Korean culture are these concepts of Han and Chung. There aren't easy equivalents in the American culture or language. And so I really wanted to investigate it just to have a deeper understanding for myself, but then also be able to perhaps broaden other people's understanding of it as well. And so this project really is an investigation of these two concepts. And Han is something that is seemingly negative. And so I think in a lot of ways people can define it as rage or really deep resentment. And it really comes from like severe injustice. And it goes beyond that as well because it's also physiological. And so my mother had told me that one of her uncles had died from Han because all of his farmland was taken away from him unjustly. And so this Han consumed him, and he expired that way, which is a pretty tragic story. And so there are lots of it's a deep ingrained kind of cultural aspect within the Korean culture that is hard for me as an American-born person, to really wrap my head around. The other concept is Chung, which is seemingly its opposite. Chung is one of affection, of love and bond. It usually, from what I understand, comes from shared experiences. And so my father had told me that my grandmother, his mother, has a lot of Chung for me because she's known me since I was 1 year old. And so there's this idea, it goes beyond just love. So it's hard to find an equivalent in the English language. And so these are the two concepts that I'm exploring. Right, so the two concepts that are really driving this installation are these concepts of Han and Chung. But there are some other dichotomies or other complementing opposites that I'm also kind of investigating. And so for me, being someone who was born in America to immigrants from Korea, I grew up speaking Korean in the home, English outside the home. Obviously living in America, but still very much immersed in the Korea that my parents brought with them from Korea. And so I wanted to explore the dichotomy of Koreanness and Americanness, of Korean language and English language. And so the gallery, the two facing walls, they themselves are complementing opposites, I hope, in that they face each other. I hope there's some sort of dialogue between them visually. On each wall, there are 5 images that are composed of 2 juxtaposed images. And I'm looking at the formal qualities of screens. So if you imagine a screen door, for example, it divides a space, but it also allows for things to go through it as well. And so for me, that seemed like the perfect kind of formal metaphor for this idea of being both Korean and American, of being both an English language speaker, and a Korean language speaker. And so I hope that the viewers can come and they can perhaps unify these 2 juxtaposed images so that they for themselves can kind of have this flattening of 2 very different worlds, perhaps. And the way that I've juxtaposed them is that one image is placed onto the wall, and the second image is placed about 6 inches in front of it. And this image that is in front I've created a screen, I guess, with an image as well as with letter forms that are cut out of it. And so depending on where the viewer is standing or their perspective and how those 2 images merge is really up to the viewer. And so I'm hoping that through this experience that they may perhaps get a little taste of what it's like to have one foot in one world and one foot in the other at the same time. So I do want to acknowledge all the awesome people that have helped me in this installation. Namely, I want to acknowledge my collaborator, Ladin Bachmani. She is an assistant professor of graphic design at Illinois State University, and the letter forms that I'm using in this installation come directly from a collaboration that she and I did last year, where we did also another installation, but we developed the letter forms of English, Korean, and Persian. And so while I took the lead on the Korean letter forms, she and I worked together on the English letter forms. And so I definitely want to acknowledge just the awesomeness of her. And she's also given me a lot of great ideas for this installation too. So I want to give her a big thank you. And I want to acknowledge all the people here in this Bloomington Normal community that have been so supportive, including the McLean County Arts Center, who invited me to do an exhibition here, which is really the first solo exhibition I've ever had. So grateful to Lisa and to Alfonso, who was here before. Just wonderful people, and what a beautiful space and a great opportunity for someone who's just looking to do some weird stuff and hopefully be able to grow my experiences and perhaps engage with the community directly.